understanding what people need to different times and make policies to address those needs. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, first Prime Minister of India, focused on irrigation and education. Srimati Indira Gandhi focused on removing poverty through programs for roti, kapda or makan. The next three Congress Prime Ministers, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh focused on modernization, development and global technology revolutions like telecom and software. It is they who made it possible today for India to be fifth largest economy in the world. Our top priority is education, health and employment opportunities. We attended investment summits in Davos, USA, South Korea, Japan and Singapore. We got over 2.5 lakh crores investment to create jobs for youth in private sector. Telangana is a state where women are treated with equality and respect as part of our culture. Our women have led the struggle for separate state as strongly as our men. For my government, women, farmers and youth are most important stakeholders. We have amazing women entrepreneurs in my state. They are organized into self-help groups. It has 67 lakh members. We want to make 10 million women business successes. We want to see them grow into millionaires. We have made these women owners of solar power plants, electric RTC buses, petrol bunks, and gave them shops in premium retail outlets. Today, they are earning more money than ever before. Today, our power distribution companies have signed deals with women solar power companies to buy 1,000 megawatt solar power. Women own 600 buses competing with corporate transport firms. Our women entrepreneurs are competing with Adani, Ambani and big corporates in running these solar plants, EV buses and have shops in the highest street retail at Shilparamam. In fact, we have scheduled a visit to this amazing facility where they are making products and displaying and selling them to world market. You will see their faces, happy and proud because they own businesses next to top global companies like Microsoft, Google, HCL, Infosys, etc. House is a matter of pride, dignity and identity for every family. We want to make every woman in my state a house owner. As part of India Indirama Illu scheme, in first year we have given 22,000 crore to 4,50,000 families to build their own houses. Today, women have free public transport in RTC buses across the state. So far in 15 months, we have spent 5,000 crore on the free bus scheme for women. Women look after entire family, so we ensure best free rides through rations. Free domestic electricity and rupees 500 per gas cylinder. For our government, education and healthcare are top priorities. The Rajiv Arogyasri is one of the best universal healthcare support schemes, where treatment of up to 10 lakh is paid by government. We give financial assistance to citizens for healthcare through CM Relief Fund. In 1 year, we have given 1,000 crores so far. Water is our lifeline of civilization. We are regenerating River Musi, 55 kilometers long, cleaning a polluted river and bringing it back to life. We are doing it for the future city and protect people from pollution. We have studied river and waterfront development in many cities, including River Hudson in New York, Thames in London, Sumida in Tokyo. Muse will become biggest attraction of our city in the future and create thousands of jobs. Infrastructure is crucial to fight poverty and create wealth for all. We are undertaking many infra projects to make Hyderabad a top global city. We are building future city, a 30,000-acre world-class city, a regional ring road of 370 kilometers long and expanding our metro railway. You must have visited Charminar, Golconda Fort, Makkah Masjid, Hussain Sagar Lake and Buddha statue. In times ahead, we will add many modern marvels. We are combining and balancing between needs for investments, jobs creation, economic growth and welfare and environment for good governance. Our approach is simple. Increase government revenue to share with the poor people. We are transparent and proactive in reforms. For example, we are setting up a gig and app workers welfare policy. We have shared draft policy in public for feedback and suggestions. We conduct Prajavani where citizens can share all their issues and problems. Every week, officials, MLAs, MLCs, ministers and chief minister listen to people's grievances to address them. We have a portal to monitor entire program transparently. I am proud to share Telangana is the first state in India to conduct a caste survey. For nearly 100 years, no one conducted it. Empowerment of BCs is part of Telangana model. It is a reason why Telangana is rising. It is the reason why Telangana is a role model for OBC empowerment. We are first state in India to subclassify quota for Dalits to fulfill their age-old demand. Now, 15% SC quota is subdivided among subcastes. We are proud to say Telangana is rising because of Dalits are rising. I am delighted to share that Telangana is the first government to recruit third gender in our government as part of traffic police force. We will take them into other departments too. Implementing welfare, ensuring infrastructure and investment to create jobs and wealth, transparent governance and removing corruption is the hallmark for our government. We are already seeing results. Fastest growing economy, highest per capita income, fastest jobs creation, lowest inflation, best policing, highest own tax collections, rapidly emerging as a hub in many sectors like global competency centers or otherwise GCCs, EVs and data centers. Our work has started. We have to do a lot more. I invite all of you to please join this mission to change lives of people of positively. You must use your experience, knowledge, skills to share the Telangana rising story and give us inputs to do better work. Tell the world what you have seen and witnessed. Tell the world about our vision, our work, our achievements, the transformation and people's views. Become the brand ambassadors of Telangana Rising. I wish you all wonderful time at Bharath Summit. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our Honorable Chief Minister. Thank you for the motivating and inspiring words. And as a Telangana citizen, I am proud that my state is hosting the world's biggest gathering of visionaries, of progressives. And yes, I'm sure that with our Honorable Chief Minister's development vision of Telangana rising, we will definitely be attracting a lot of investors and entrepreneurs from across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, the theme of Bharath Summit 2025 is delivering global justice, which amplifies our leader of the opposition, our beloved leader, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji's vision of Nyay. So I now request Shri Rahul Gandhi ji to please address the August gathering.
I'd like to welcome all the delegates from different countries who have come here for the summit. I'd also like to begin by thanking you for standing in solidarity with us against what happened in Kashmir a few days ago. I apologize. I was supposed to be here yesterday, but I was forced to cancel my visit here yesterday because I had to go to Kashmir and meet some of the injured people. I'd also like to thank Revant Reddy ji and the Telangana government for hosting this wonderful summit. As we all know, politics, democratic politics, has fundamentally changed across the globe. The rules that applied, I would say, a decade ago, simply don't apply anymore. Sometimes when I speak to younger members of our party, what was effective 10 years ago, the tools that worked 10 years ago, simply do not work anymore. They cannot face the concentration of capital, modern media, modern social media. And so in a sense, the old politician is dead and a new politician, a new type of politician has to be constructed. And that really is the challenge in front of all of us. What does this new politics look like? What are the ideas that emerge from this new politics? I'm sure you've had a deep discussion about policies, about how we should think about education, how we should think about regaining the democratic space, how we should think about care. And each one of us has a particular view on that. So I'm not going to delve too much into the policy positions. I'm going to talk about what I think is the correct lens with which to approach our politics. Some years ago, we in the Congress party felt completely trapped in this new politics, aggressive politics, a politics where the opposition is not talked to, but the idea is to crush the opposition. And we found that all our avenues were compromised. The media, the general atmosphere did not allow us to operate the way we would like. And so we reached back into our history and we decided to walk from Kanyakumari, which is one of the southernmost parts of our country, all the way to Kashmir, where I was yesterday. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I and some of my colleagues discovered on that journey. It's not a small walk, 4,000 kilometers. And I don't think we understood quite what we had taken on when we began it. But once we began, there was no way backwards. So we just carried on walking right to the end. And I essentially learned two things from that walk. Our opposition across the world has a monopoly on anger, fear, and hatred. And there's no way that we are ever going to be able to compete with them on anger, fear, and hatred. They are going to outdo us, outmaneuver us, and beat us every single time when it comes to fear, anger, and hatred. So the question is, where and how do we operate? Where are the spaces where we have the advantage? Where are the spaces from which we can build a counter narrative? So the walk started in Kanyakumari, and slowly as it progressed, more and more people started to join this walk. And within 10-15 days, walk would start at 6 in the morning, and we would have thousands and thousands and thousands of people walking with us, pushing us, people trying to come in. And it was something to see. My job was walking and listening to people. And the one rule we had was that anybody, regardless of who he is, who she is, should be able to come to the center of where we were walking and have a conversation with me or the other leaders there. And so we followed this rule rigorously. As we walked, we talked and walked and talked and walked. I suddenly found that it became harder and harder to speak. As politicians, we are trained to do this. We are trained to come on stage and talk. We are trained to tell people what we think. We are trained to think about the future. But while I was walking, the number of people who were coming to me made that impossible. And so I started to listen. And I realized, halfway through that walk, I realized that actually I had never ever listened before. And in fact, I didn't know how to listen. I knew how to speak, I knew how to think, but I didn't actually know how to listen to people. What do I mean by that? Whenever somebody was speaking to me, I would have a conversation going on in my mind. I would be listening, and at the same time, I would be talking. Relatively quickly into the yatra, the talking completely stopped. And all I was doing was listening to the people who were coming next to me. And I discovered that there is a completely different way of communicating with people, a much more powerful way of communicating. And that way involves me or us becoming completely silent and listening deeply to exactly what it is they're trying to say. I'll give you an example. The one that really struck me. We were walking. It was early morning. It was still dark. And this woman came running towards me. And she held my hand. And the moment she held my hand, I felt fear in her hand. I didn't say anything. And I asked her, what's happened? And then she started. And she said to me, I've come here to walk, but I have to go back. I have to go back quickly. I said, why? She said, because my husband is beating me. My husband is thrashing me, and I have come here to this yatra. And then I said to her, I said, what do you want me to do? And she looked at me, she says, I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to know that this is happening to me. And the moment she said that, her hand completely relaxed. And I realized that it was as important for her to be heard, for me to understand and us to understand exactly what it was that she was going through. That was as important as any action we could take. And in 1 second, she transmitted to me what millions and millions of women go through in their homes. So our opposition really does not know how to listen, because they already have all the answers. They know exactly what is supposed to be done. And this is completely flawed, because it is the people who know what has to be done. And if there is one thing that we have failed at with all the social media and all the modern communication methods, it is that we have, as politicians, failed to deeply listen to what our people are trying to tell us. And this is the space where we can really operate, because our opponents have completely vacated this space. They're not there. They don't exist there. The second thing I learned, even more powerful than listening properly, on the yatra, it suddenly struck me, something struck me, that when it comes to people I'm close to, my mother, my sister, my friends, I'm very comfortable using the word love. And it struck me that I'd been in politics since 2004. And I never ever used or expressed love to anybody. So I was saying to people that I want to help you. I was working hard to help people, but I was not expressing the reason I was working. And so on the yatra, I started to do so. A little girl came up to me running, and she said, "Uncle, I love you." And I was like, that's interesting. Why have I never said this before? Why have I never used this narrative that is the central narrative and the reason for what I do? And so I started. I would listen, and then I would use the frame of love and affection, and I would tell people that, you know, I love you very much. and something quite amazing started to happen. Till the yatra, I never used the frame of love, and nobody else used the frame of love. So I didn't have people coming up to me and saying, I love you. And since I started using the frame of love, since I started saying to people these sort of uncomfortable words, that listen, I love you and that's why I do what I do, that's why I work, suddenly they started to respond. And today, in public meetings, on the street, people will stop me and say, we love you, I love you. And the powerful thing about that is it starts the conversation at a place from where it's very, very easy to operate. Often we think that we are going to connect to people indirectly through policy, through the future. We'll help you with your children's education. We'll help you with finance. And there's a place for that. But there is also a way to connect directly to the person's present. Directly saying to them that the reason I'm standing here and the reason I'm doing what I do is because I have affection, love and affection for you. And it has completely changed my politics. It has made my life so much easier. It has made my ability to connect with people so much easier, I cannot tell you. On the yatra, we got a slogan. The slogan in Hindi is Nafrat ke bazaar mein mohabbat ki dukaan, which people who understand Hindi will translate. But what it basically means is that in a marketplace of hatred, you are opening a shop of love. Now, this slogan became very, very powerful in India. The idea that no matter how much hatred someone spreads, the biggest and most powerful way to disrupt them is not to copy them, not to argue with them, not to fight with them, but right in front of their hatred, to place the idea of love and affection. So that, I think, is a framework, a potential framework for our politics. We can disagree on policies. In fact, I'm sure that every single one of us will disagree on some policy matter or the other. But the lens we use, we can all agree on. Their lens is hatred, their lens is fear, their lens is anger. Fear leads to anger, ossified anger is hatred. And our lens should be that which cuts their lens. Our lens should be love, our lens should be affection, and our lens should be listening to the wishes and the will of the people we are supposed to represent. I'd like to thank all of you for coming here. It's an honor for me to listen to what you're saying, to work with you, and I'm confident that this summit will generate the ideas that we need to build a new politics in India and the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, ladies and gentlemen, always motivating and inspiring us. And through this Bharat Summit, our leaders, Srimati Sonia Gandhi ji, Shri Rahul Gandhi ji, and Shri Mallikarjun Kharge ji, we hope to start, and we have, I should say, already started, a global progressive movement where we want to show that Swaraj Ahimsa, Satya, and Aparigraha are the only way to create a just and liberal world order. Ladies and gentlemen, we now will be watching a solidarity video message from Mr. Wayne Swan from Australia. So can we have the AV, please?
My name is Wayne Swan. I'm the President of the Australian Labor Party, and I wish you all a very, very successful conference. As Social Democrats, we all believe in the power of public policy to change people's lives forever. Our central purpose is to address economic injustice, wherever it is and for however long it takes. We know that without greater economic equality, it gets harder and harder to address racial and gender equality. In an era of hyper-individualism and the power of oligarchs, it gets harder and harder for us to secure economic equality. Our commitment must be to solidarity. We need to recognise that each of us have a stake in each other's success. To win the battle of ideas, we need a dedicated party organisation. Party activism has never been more important, particularly with the rise of fascism and the power of oligarchs in countries like the United States. Around the world, democracy is in decline. The far right is on the march. It's within our power to resist these trends and to build a new social democracy that will deliver greater equality and justice for working people. In the United States, we see a government of billionaires, for billionaires and by billionaires. Democracy in that country is under threat. And around the world, we see the survival of the fittest mentality emerge from the far right. My message today is that we can defeat the oligarchs, we can defeat the far right if we have the right set of policies and the right amount of activism. There is no substitute for a dedicated party organisation and a policy platform that appeals to working people. And no policy objective is more important than making sure that everyone has the capacity to work and has the security of a social safety net, particularly in health and education. So our challenge is to connect, to motivate our members so that we can build a fairer society and a more prosperous economy.
So much, Mr. Wayne Swan there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a solidarity video message from Mr. Lars Klingbeil from Germany. So can we have the AV, please?
Dear comrades and friends, dear Rahul Gandhi, on behalf of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, I would like to convey to you the warmest greetings. I would like to thank Rahul Gandhi and the Indian National Congress for hosting this international conference. Unfortunately, I cannot take part today. As many of you know, we are in the midst of forming a government in Germany. Dear friends, the issues we're facing in Germany and in Europe are closely connected to the topics you are discussing on your conference. Our international rule-based order has come under great pressure. Almost on a daily basis, we are witnessing attempts to disrupt, to undermine and to circumvent the rules, values and institutions that define and structure the very ties that bind us together in this world. Unfortunately, we are witnessing the increased questioning of these achievements. Threats, blackmail and strong armed tactics are replacing negotiations and the belief in corporations and the search for common interest. Attempts are being made to replace the rule of law with the rule of might. These developments must be stopped. We need to return to the universal acceptance of the rule of law. We need to strengthen and improve the institutions of our international rule-based order. Dear Rahul and dear friends from the Indian National Congress, I would like to thank you for organizing and hosting this international conference. In the face of recent developments, an international conference that aims to discuss how to deliver global justice is more than timely. I take it as a sign for hope that members from Progressive Alliance, Progressive International and a delegation from the Socialist International are convening together on this weekend in India. This conference and the work you are doing is vital to find the answers to the pressing questions of our time. In order to battle the rise of right populists, we need progressive, democratic and social responses. Dear comrades, this conference is an important step to the right direction. I look forward to further strengthen our cooperation. Let us contribute to a world that is safer, more just, and enables us all to live in dignity, prosperity, and peace. I wish you a successful conference.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lars Klingbeil there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have our distinguished international leaders here present, and I will be introducing them onto the stage to speak to all of you. So I now request Mr. Giacomo Filibeck to please step forward and address the august gathering.
Namaste. Leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, Chief Minister, members of the Indian National Congress, members of the Progressive Alliance, fellow progressives. Before I begin, allow me to express on behalf of the Party of European Socialists our heartfelt condolences for the tragic loss of life in the Kashmir region. The grief of the families, the pain of communities must not go unnoticed. We stand in solidarity with all those affected and reaffirm our belief that peace and human lives must never be sacrificed for political gains. As we speak now, in these very hours, in my hometown, in Rome, the funerals of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, are taking place. More than 140 heads of governments are coming in Rome to pay respect to the late Pope Francis. However, I doubt that all of them have understood or shared his main message about human dignity in this planet. We talk about global justice here. The message of Pope Francis is that there cannot be peace, there cannot be human dignity, there cannot be solidarity without justice. And we hope that his legacy and his ideas will resonate, especially in all those attending the funeral today. In today's complex political landscape, we must carefully evaluate the spectrum of governmental actions, identifying those that align with democratic processes and denounce those that dangerously deviate from them. As you all know, because you are all involved in politics, there are political decisions taken by our adversaries in government which we can disagree with, and yet we can understand them. Some of their policies may be damaging, and yet we know where they come from. Some of their moves and tactics would be seen as despicable, and we would challenge them, demanding corrections. And yet, we could consider them a tolerable part of the alternance of power dynamic in functioning democracies. But then, there are some policies, some decisions, some actions, some narratives that are beyond our understanding, that are destroying the very fabric of our democratic societies, and that are beyond the human logic. In these very days, and in the recent years, we have witnessed a multiplication of those actions in many corners of many regions of our planet. Our task is to call those actions by their names, as criminal as they are. If we fail to denounce those actions, we will be accomplice in normalizing practice that prevent from the start any attempt of achieving social justice. Few examples. Can there be social justice in Turkey if academics, journalists, politicians are in prisons, where political plurality, a key component of democracy, is under attack, as it has been shown in the case of the arrest of Saladin Demirtas, the leaders of the Kurdish minority in 2016, or the very recent arrest of Imamoglu, the mayor of Istanbul, who was set to be the real challenger of Erdogan and the winner of that competition. Can there be social justice under those conditions? Can there be social justice in Serbia, where corruption practices have caused the death of normal citizens on their way to work and school, and where after months of impressive and massive protest, the government of Vučić refuses to take responsibility for their actions and their wrongdoing? Can there be social justice in Ukraine? If your country is invaded, civilians are killed indiscriminately, women raped, and kids kidnapped. Could there have been social justice in the Philippines, where under Duterte, thousands and thousands of human beings have been killed with the extrajudicial killings for their presumed alleged war on drugs? Can there be social justice in Argentina, with Milei right-wing libertarian and ultranationalist government increasing inequality and poverty in the country? Can there be social justice in the African Central Republic or in Zimbabwe, where both governments are muzzling the opposition? Can there be social justice in Tunisia with Sayed, when political opponents are incarcerated and political plurality is under attack? Can there be social justice in Nicaragua under Ortega's regime, when reforms of the constitution are tailor-made for the presidential marriage? And can there be social justice in the Middle East, where the entire population of Gaza is risking to be annihilated? Don't get me wrong here. We denounced the 7th of October terrorist attack as the most inhuman one we have seen in that region. And yet, you cannot respond with an equally inhuman strategy, attacking and targeting women, children, elderly, without discrimination. This is not what we expect from a democracy. And to conclude, even if the list is long, can there be social justice in the United States, where Trump systematically undermines democratic institutions by challenging the independence of federal agencies and free media? What was once considered a global model of democratic governments has devolved in a troubling narrative of institutional erosion and democratic backsliding. Comrades, as I said, this list can be longer than that, but we don't have enough time at disposal. But I know that all of you know yourself what and which countries I'm referring to, because you all have witnessed, in one way or the other, forms of injustice in your country. And if it was not in your country, it was in the neighboring country. And if it was not the neighboring country, it was in the region of where you stay in this world. The perpetrators of injustice in our systems are nowadays aligned, and they cooperate with each other. They speak the same language, and it was very eloquently said by the leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, of hate and discrimination. We must dismantle the fear of the other and replace it with a narrative of unity, dignity, and shared progress. For all these reasons, it is of utmost importance that we all mobilize as progressive forces in unity around the world. We need to reinvigorate the global progressive movement, one that is driven by the belief that a better world is possible. For us to succeed, it is essential to deepen our links with all players like-minded around the world. And together we can build a common narrative and have a common voice to face this fragmented world that lies ahead. Yesterday was the 80th anniversary of the liberation of my country, of Italy, from the Nazi fascist occupation. We must never forget the sacrifice of the lives of the resistance movements in a country like Italy. Their sacrifice is what allowed the generation afterwards like mine to enjoy a system where human rights, freedom of speech, democratic practices are possible. There are forces in this world that are trying to push us to forget that sacrifice or to minimize it. We shall never allow this to happen. And the best way to do it is to unite ourselves under the leadership of leaders like Rahul Gandhi and all the leaders of our parties to make our voice heard in every region of the world. Bella ciao.
Thank you so much. Giacomo Filibeck, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Giacomo Filibeck is the Secretary General, Party of European Socialists. And yes, moving forward to our next distinguished international leaders here on stage, I request all of you to kindly please limit your speech to 2 minutes maximum because we are running short on time. I now request, yes, Mr. Bert Koenders to please step forward. Mr. Bert Koenders, former Foreign Minister, to address the gathering. Yes, I now request Mr. Bert Koenders, former Foreign Minister, to please address the gathering. And I also request you, sir, to please limit your speech to maximum 2 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Gandhi, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a great honor for me, representing here today the Dutch Labour Party, to be with you here in a very historic meeting. This is, I think, almost 80 years after the importance of this country and later on the Bandung Conference. And we have been inspired, I think, at the time by the leaders of the past, of thinking about how we could build an order in the world that was more equitable and just. And I think the Bandung Conference has to give our inspiration not only for new politics in our countries, I think it's extremely important, but also about a new arrangement in our world, which is polarized, which is characterized by disrespect, by unilateralism. I'm limiting myself to 2 minutes, so let me give one plea. It is very urgent in a time of beggar thy neighbor policies, of unilateralism, of inward-lookingness, that together the spirit of Bandung is coming back, inspired by your party, as a force for the Progressive Alliance to work on a new deal between the South and the North. India can be in the lead, Europe can be in the lead. We need a real deal for respectful multilateralism, not only in terms of justice and human rights. I think it's absolutely key. It was just mentioned. Thank you very much. We're in a time of repression, of respect of human rights. Never have been so many people and journalists being killed around the world. But it's also about an equitable economic order. And I think in that respect, the big announcement we are going and have made today on a new beginning for international justice should lead to concrete action. And thank you very much, all of you, in this great city of Hyderabad, to create a new Bandung. A Bandung worldwide with respect for each other, respect for human rights and international justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, and appreciate it for keeping it short. I now request Ms. Monica Fain, President Socialist, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Buenas tardes. Gracias al gobierno de Telangana, gracias a la Alianza Progresista, señor líder de la oposición Rahul Gandhi. Vengo como presidenta del Partido Socialista de Argentina a expresar que la extrema derecha amenaza nuestras democracias, que la extrema derecha arrasa nuestra libertad e impulsa guerras para tomar hegemonía comercial en el mundo. La extrema derecha desprecia nuestras instituciones y genera violencia y odio. Ante esa realidad de la extrema derecha estamos aquí, los progresistas del mundo, diciendo que necesitamos una nueva democracia, gobiernos globales que transformen la realidad, poniendo a la ciudadanía y a las personas como eje del desarrollo de un país. Argentina no tiene que contarlo, es el laboratorio de la extrema derecha, donde se produce el brutal ajuste de la economía, la destrucción de la ciencia, de la educación, de la salud y la reivindicación de la violencia de la última dictadura militar. Nosotros en Argentina vivimos el accionar de la extrema y de la ultraderecha. Por eso venimos a este lugar y agradecemos este encuentro para decir que necesitamos una voz progresista más fuerte que le diga al mundo que podemos construir una sociedad con igualdad, con solidaridad, con justicia para todos y para todas, donde las mujeres, las disidencias, los campesinos, las campesinas, todas aquellas que queremos tener una vida digna, lo podamos construir. Esa es la voz del progresismo, es la voz que venimos a llevarnos de este Congreso. Gracias por la recepción.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now request Mr. Geom Long to please step forward. Yes, Mr. Geom Long, former Foreign Minister, Ecuador, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the government of Telangana for its very generous invitation, thank the Congress Party for hosting us, and thank the Progressive International. Thank you, Varsha, for bringing such a great delegation of 12 countries. It's a real honor for us to be here. And of course, I'd like to express my heartfelt condolences to the people of India, my sincere solidarity for the terrible, tragic attack that occurred this week in Kashmir. This is 70 years since the Bandung conference, this week. And in the very little time I have, I would like to ask the following question. How is India going to position itself? And more importantly, how is the Congress Party going to go forward in terms of its vision for internationalism? What is its foreign policy doctrine going to be? We've heard here that we're facing a unique historical moment. We're facing the onslaught of exceptionalism, what I would call a reactionary international, which of course we have to contest, we have to fight through a progressive internationalism. This requires collective action against divide and rule, against the race to the bottom, which is often privileged by this emphasis on bilateralism, the bilateralism of the deal, whether it's an artful deal or not an artful deal. The bilateralism in order to maintain asymmetry, often between global north powers or superpowers and global south countries. A progressive project must have an international project at its core. And this is a crucial element because in this conference here and this morning, we've heard many wonderful policy initiatives. This morning we were in there was a great workshop on how new laws for gig workers have been introduced, first in Rajasthan, then in Karnataka, and now very soon in Telangana, and we celebrate this. And there are all sorts of fantastic domestic policies that have been proposed here. What about international policy? What is the internationalist project of the Congress Party going to be? Is it going to be the legacy of this wonderful picture of the Bandung Conference 70 years ago this week with Nehru, Nkrumah, Nasser, Sukarno and Tito? Or is it going to be an India that is just used as a bulwark of the West against China? Is it going to be an India of bilateralism? Or is it going to be an India of multilateralism, of collective action? An anchor in the global South to fight some of the great abuses of the current system of international governance we are often victim to. The Indian National Congress is heir to the historic legacy of Bandung. In Latin America and in the global south, it is this legacy from this party we most admire. It is this legacy from this party that I teach my students. What is it going to be? A Congress party from the global south? A Congress party seeking to harness collective action? A Congress party going back to its non-aligned roots? We heartily hope so in Latin America and the global south, and we encourage you all to follow this path. We need a genuine, not a vacuous, not a tokenistic, commitment to the struggle for the democratization of the international system that serves the needs, the interests, the rights of the world's majority. The Congress Party is called to play this role. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Ms. Clara Lopez Obregon, Senator and former Labor Minister of Colombia, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Colleagues from the progressive forces of the world over, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, your words with that meaningful lesson of replacing or confronting the new politics of hate with the politics of love is the right way forward. In Colombia, our president, Gustavo Petro, too, has the politics of love and has life at the center of all his preoccupations. In the spirit of Bandung and as members of the Global South, we must once more decide not to be for or against any great power, but rather in favor of world peace, democratic values, human rights, global justice, and equitable development. May the Bharath Summit signify the unity of all progressive forces with the common goal of social justice in a world that once more faces the East-West divide and the challenges of intolerance, terrorism, and genocide, which we wholeheartedly condemn and express our solidarity for the happenings recently that have affected India and the world over. Let us lead the way and walk together, respecting our differences and sharing our strengths for the common good. Telangana has given us great examples, and thank you for your generous hospitality. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I now request Mr. Jorge Tayana, former Foreign Minister, Argentina, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Thank you to the authorities of Telangana. Thank you, Rahul Gandhi, to be here for your address and for support this initiative, and to all the people that are here. Of course, we support and we are very sorry for the attack the other day. I invoke the Bandung spirit because it's very, in a sense, embody peace, non-violence, non-discrimination, and a commitment to development rooted in respecting each nation's sovereignty. We stand before a world in transition, where the relationship between nation states is being fundamentally changed. The tensions stem from their gradual erosion driven by technological revolution and compounded by productive, financial, communicative, and cultural globalization. A world that demands coordinated global efforts to address its greatest challenges, from the climate crisis to persistent poverty and worsening inequality. Today, concentration of power and wealth explain disparities within countries and between nations. Argentina, my country, now suffers a regression across economic, social, and democratic spheres, manifesting the current administration policy agenda. The trajectory fundamentally contradicts the prerequisite for equitable development, demonstrating how right-wing ascendancy foreclose pathway to justice. Consider the case of Dr. Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, former two-term president and current chair of the Justicialist Party, a party with 3 million affiliates in our country, who faced politically motivated legal harassment. The narrow aim is her electoral disqualification. The wider goal is to discredit all the opposition. Such tactics seek to intimidate a leader who dares to defend Argentine people's welfare. And this is a clear message. Our problem is not only the authoritarian presidents that go with the far right. Also a corrupted judiciary that not work with the point view of the justice legislation. Judiciary branch is a serious problem in our country. This geopolitical tensions and uneven development necessitates immediate action against inequality through 3 structural approaches: active non-alignment as a guiding doctrine, deeper regional integration, and institutionalized global South collaboration. On the final point, we must reaffirm Argentine legitimate and unalienable sovereignty over the Malvinas, South Georgia and Sandwich Islands and their surrounding maritime territories, integral parts of our national territory. The UN General Assembly Resolution 2665 explicitly recognizes the sovereignty dispute and calls upon Argentina and the United Kingdom to seek a peaceful, lasting solution. Yet the UK not only disregards this resolution, but exploits both renewable and non-renewable natural resources in the dispute sector in the South Atlantic. In times of instability, advancing global justice in all its dimensions is an imperative for all who believes must serve the welfare of our people. Let me conclude with late Pope Francis' words. I was close to him, and my family used to tell that we are friends. He's now been buried in the Santa Maria Maggiore church in a humble coffin. He reminds us that the people is not peace is not achieved merely by ending wars, but by building a new world, one where we discover ourselves as different, yet more united and bound in fellowship than ever we imagined. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And yes, since Shri Rahul Gandhi ji has a hectic schedule ahead, I request all our distinguished international leaders to please limit your speech to just 1.5 minutes. We move forward to our next speaker. I request Mr. Cedric Wermuth, Swiss Party President, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Thank you. I'm a father of two young children, two young girls, and some years ago the older one came to me and said, "Hey Dad, how was that when human beings and dinosaurs were together on the planet? Did they like each other or did they fight?" And I tried to explain to her that dinosaurs had died before the human race came to Earth, and that nobody, no human is old enough to have ever seen actual living dinosaur. And then she turned her head and looked at me skeptically and said, "Not even you?" And that was the moment when I understood that the world had changed. And although there are only 30 years between her and me, I'm 39 years old, it's true. The politics I inherited, and we heard it from all the colleagues before, is a politics of an age that has gone long before us. And I think it's extremely important that we are precise on pointing on what's happening on the global stage these days and weeks and years. Yes, it has become fashionable in Western Europe to analyze the situation through the idea of the new polycrisis of neoliberalism. The truth is the crisis has always been there, but for the global south. The global north has just not seen it and has exported its problems to the global south. This time, the crisis is coming back. And it is coming back under the disguise of these very dangerous clowns, which Mr. Trump is the most dangerous probably for world politics. And I'd like to be very precise. I'm still on the 30. I have the right to be a bit more outspoken than other ones in this room. I think we have to be very precise. There is a new coalition of a neo-fascist project and of class war by global billionaires who try to exploit nature and human beings even more than before, or as the ITUT points it out, a coup against democracy and everything we have been fighting for in the last 50 or 70 years. And there are two things I want to stress for the progressive movement. First of all, I think we should have been that who questioned the neoliberal global order, and we didn't. So it is high time to do it now, because we cannot become the bearers and the defenders of the status quo. We must be the ones who go further for dignity, liberty, truth, justice and equality for everyone. And I think also on this point, it is time for Europe, for the global north, for Switzerland, my country, to learn from the global south and to learn from what the leader of the INC just said, Rahul Gandhi, to turn to that politics of listening to people. So maybe we could start at a progressive international, progressive alliance, this global, not only Indian, but global yatra, would be a little bit more, like 40,000 kilometers, but 4,000 kilometers, but listening to the people of the world and taking up that struggle for more justice and trying to create a real common political ground that has dignity and love in its core. We are ready to do it. The world has only us to defend it. Please be with us. Go to action. We need global progressive politics. Thank you everyone for doing that every day.
Thank you so much. We move forward. I now request Mr. Martin Ziguele, former Prime Minister, Central African Republic, to please step forward and address the gathering.
Merci, je serai très rapide, je parle en français. Je suis Martin Ziguele, je suis ancien Premier ministre de la République centrafricaine. La République centrafricaine est vraiment au cœur de l'Afrique. La même distance entre le Cap en Afrique du Sud jusqu'au canal de Suez en Égypte, juste au milieu, c'est mon pays. Nous sommes entourés par la République démocratique du Congo au sud, le Cameroun à l'ouest, les deux Soudans à l'est et le Tchad au nord. Nous sommes donc au cœur de l'Afrique et aujourd'hui nous sommes ici pour dire que nous faisons partie du monde. Et l'Afrique, je ne veux pas vous refaire l'histoire, a vécu le poids de l'injustice. L'injustice sur le plan historique, l'injustice sur le plan de l'économie. Et ceux qui sont de ma génération se rappellent que grâce à l'Inde, grâce à Bandung, à la conférence de Bandung, à la conférence des non-alliés, où celui qui représentait l'Afrique, c'était Gamal Abdel Nasser, nous avons été donc vaccinés par le vaccin de la lutte pour la liberté et pour la justice. Mais il faut se souvenir que la lutte pour la liberté et la justice est une quête perpétuelle, elle n'est jamais achevée. C'est en Afrique aujourd'hui que nous avons encore des pays où il y a des coups d'État militaires. Il y a seulement 2 ans, 4 pays dont nos camarades étaient les dirigeants, présidents démocratiquement élus, ont été successivement renversés par des coups d'État militaires. Cela s'est passé en Guinée, au Mali, au Niger et au Burkina Faso. Et aujourd'hui, un de nos camarades progressistes a été renversé en juillet 2023 et au moment où je vous parle, il est détenu avec son épouse au sous-sol de la propre présidence où il était président de la République. C'est au Niger et c'est notre camarade Mohamed Bazoum. Donc en Afrique, nous vivons l'injustice, nous avons besoin de solidarité, pas pour venir se substituer à nous, mais comme disait notre camarade Rahul Gandhi, il faut nous écouter, même si on ne nous aime pas, mais il faut au moins nous écouter pour nous soutenir dans cette lutte que nous menons. Je vous remercie.
Merci. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we now move forward to launching, yes, the Hyderabad resolution. We have the documents in hand. Our dignitaries present here on stage have it all in their hands. So I request you to kindly please rise and hold it in your hand as the photographers, the videographers will capture this wonderful moment, ladies and gentlemen, as we formally launch Hyderabad resolution. I request all our dignitaries to please step forward with the document in hand. I request all our friends from press media to please step forward and capture this wonderful moment, the powerful formal launch of Hyderabad resolution. Yes, my dear friends, I request you to please be seated as we have our other distinguished international leaders still to talk to us. I now request His Excellency Hipólito Mejia to please step forward. His Excellency Hipólito Mejia, former President, Dominican Republic. I request you, sir, to please step forward and address the gathering. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we still have many speakers on, and we'll also be looking forward to the vote of thanks. Thank you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, request you to please be seated. Please be seated. We have our distinguished speakers. Yes, my dear friends, ladies, please settle down, be seated. We have our distinguished speakers who will be talking to us. We have 5 more international leaders speaking to us, and we also will be witnessing the closing remarks by TPCC President Shri Mahesh Garu. So I request you to please remain seated. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries, delegates, I request you to please remain seated. We are continuing with our international leaders delivering their speeches, and we also have the closing remarks to be said by TPCC President Shri Mahesh Garu. So I request you to please remain seated. I request His Excellency Hipólito Mejia, former President, Dominican Republic, to kindly please address the gathering.
So thanks.
Yes, I now request our Minister, Shri Uttam Kumar Reddy Garu, to kindly please propose the vote of thanks.